All right, we are on. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Weekly Dose with Dr. Uday. I have a treat for you. I have Dr. Miller here with us today, and she's going to be talking all great things and a really pressing issue that is going to be important for those that are going through this. It's going to be all about childlessness and feeling whole and living fulfilling lives. So I'm going to start with introductions and then we're going to go into this topic. So for those that don't know me, my name is Dr. Uday. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I'm based in Martinsburg, West Virginia. I co-own a primary care practice, namely Apple Valley Family Medicine. I also provide aesthetic services to my patients and clients. And with both modalities, my goal is to have my patients not only feeling good, but looking good. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Miller. I will let her introduce herself and then we'll get started. Welcome, Dr. Miller.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here. I appreciate you shining a light on this topic. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I am Gail Miller. I'm a maternal fetal medicine specialist. So in my job as a physician, I take care of women who have high-risk pregnancies. And I became a life coach to help women who are childless, not by choice, because that is the path I have been on. So this was not what I planned. I had my life all planned out, like, many women do. And I had pictured having children, had like names picked out, all of that, all the details. But life didn't turn out that way. I had fertility issues. I also kind of aged out as I was thinking like, okay, I haven't met the perfect person, because that was what I had imagined would be my life, meet the perfect person and have children with him. And that didn't happen. And then single motherhood didn't happen because of personal circumstances. And then I met the right person. But he had 3 kids and didn't want any more. And I was older and I already had fertility issues, and it became my reality became this just wasn't going to happen. And it was when I finally realized this, it was like I just felt this incredibly deep sadness, and I was letting that affect my life to a big degree. I was just walking around never feeling happy. And I had an aha moment one day and realized, okay, I need to move my focus from what I don't have, the future that I plan that I won't have, and really embrace what I do have and the joy that I do have. And so it took work to get to that point. It's not that I don't ever, it's not that I don't wish I had kids. It's not that I don't ever feel sad about it. It's just that now my focus is on the good. And, when I'm feeling those, uncomfortable feelings towards that, I've learned how to manage that, allow it, and then embrace what I do have. And I decided I needed to help other women doing this or going through this. And so I had a therapist my therapist was wonderful, but she at one point said to me, I know what you're going through, because I had a high-risk pregnancy. And I thought, okay, yes, I would never minimize, because especially doing what I do as a maternal fetal medicine doctor, I know there is grief over having a complicated pregnancy. So I would never minimize that. But it's like, but you don't know what I'm going through. This is very different. And I worked with a coach who also was not childless, but said, I don't know what you're going through, but she helped me a great deal. And that's when I thought, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to become a life coach so I can help other women who are dealing with the same issue, being childless, not by choice. And here I am today.
That is really amazing. It's well needed. So you understand it obviously from a personal perspective, and then also from the life work that you do.
Yeah.
So to delve in a little bit more, when you have a client that comes to you at maybe the beginning stages of, realizing, maybe there's, fertility issues that are going to get in the way of, or circumstances that get into the way of them having a child biologically. How do you approach that, if you don't mind?
Sure. So the first part is really the acceptance, which for many people, they think that acceptance means, oh, I no longer want to have a child, or it means you're being, kind of disloyal to the child you dreamed of, or to your own dreams. And acceptance is really just saying, this is my reality. Now I say just because it is simple. It's facing your reality, but it's not simple to get there, to be able to be like, okay, this is what my reality is. So we start with seeing if someone is in that place of, have they accepted it? And if not, we work with that. And it also depends on where someone is in the stages of life. So it's very different for someone who has just, gone through fertility treatments and has stopped, versus someone who may be approaching menopause and, they may have gone through fertility treatments long ago, or maybe they never did, but now it's, they may have gone through that period and kind of accepted it and felt better. But now when you approach menopause, and the changes you're experiencing, you're realizing, okay, I'm losing the use, of these organs, if you will, that I never got to use. So it's like this reminder all over again as you go through menopause that I couldn't have a child, and now I'm really not going to be able to have a child. It's just like one more. Or you may be older, have gone through menopause, but now your friends are having grandkids. So it kind of depends on where someone is in life. But also what we work on is like saying goodbye to that dream, because it's a loss. It's a loss of a future that you had planned, and now you have a different future. So we work on that, some depending again on where someone is. It's very individualized based on where they are. And so sometimes that involves like a ceremony, like for some women, they take any syringes that they have left from their IVF and they smash them, or some will take their after visit summaries, all the paper you get from visits, and light a bonfire in a safe way. So that can be part of this. And then it's also finding what brings you joy in life, because part of this is also finding a purpose. And so, because, if you've dreamed of being a mom, you oftentimes think part of your purpose in life was to be a mom. And often what comes with that is, if I can't be a mom, what am I? So we work on finding purpose in life. And purpose doesn't have to be like, I'm going to solve world hunger. Like it's not it's not something grand. It's just what brings you joy, and what do you feel you can do for yourself or for others or for the world. So that's in a nutshell, but very individualized.
That's amazing. That really, really, okay. Now, I guess on the flip side, so for anybody that is going through something similar currently that is listening, do you have any actionable tips that they can use, starting today or tomorrow or anything like that?
Yes. So the first is to recognize, as I talked about just a bit ago, acceptance doesn't mean that you no longer want to have a child. It doesn't mean that you are that you're being disloyal to that dream, to your desires. It is understand that by accepting, it is being able to state, this is my reality. I don't have children. I want children, but I won't be having children. So that's my first tip always, is to understand that acceptance doesn't mean, oh, I no longer want to have a child. My second tip is to allow your feelings. We are inundated with messages in society to be positive, to the point where we tend to feel that if we're having uncomfortable feelings or emotions or thoughts, or the thoughts and feelings that society would label negative, we think we're supposed to push them away. But when you do that, they don't go away, they just fester. So if you don't address those feelings, if you don't allow yourself to feel those feelings, they're going to come out typically in ways that may not be in alignment with how you want to live. You may overeat, you may overshop, you may, binge on video games and not be able to get work done. It's different for everyone, but feel your feelings, don't push them away. And the third tip is to understand it's not that you will never feel sad about this. People will tell you, you need to get over it. It's not something you get over. It's a loss. And like any other loss, we don't get over it. We move on in life with it. So recognize that you will have times where you're triggered, where you're just, or sometimes it's not even a specific event that triggers you. You just feel sad, and understand that is normal. And then my last tip in general is, when oftentimes we're triggered by things that people say, they may mean well, like comments like, oh, you're lucky you don't have kids because kids are expensive, things like that. And you're like, wait a second, you'd never give up your kids to have more money, right? And so we know that it's meant to make you feel better, but it doesn't. So when people say those things, oftentimes you kind of shut down. It's okay, again, to feel those feelings, but in response to any of the comments that people will make about it, whether it's questioning you, why don't you have kids? When are you going to have kids? I always say have a general response, which is, for me, it's, I don't want to talk about that, or it's personal, and then move on. So oftentimes we kind of get stuck. We're feeling like we shouldn't say anything, but it is okay to tell someone, that's personal. I don't want to talk about it. And then always have a couple topics of conversation ready in your mind to turn the conversation into something different than the focus of you being childless.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Wow. That is really powerful. Really, really powerful. Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to switch gears a little bit. The one, you kind of answered the first one. I usually do, because then I turn it more on, speaker. So the second one I will ask is, with all the life that you've lived so far and all the experiences that you've had, if you got a chance to meet your 20-year-old self, what would you say to them? What would you advise them?
Wow, that's a great question. I would advise her that she is imperfectly perfect as she is. Live her life the way she sees fit and what works for her, and not worry about anyone else. That's for me, because personally, my personal circumstances that in part led to my childlessness is, I allowed a parent who would have mourned me if I had become a single mother. I allowed that to influence me, and I allowed a boss who would have fired me, back in the day, if you will. I feel very old saying that, but it did happen, where I had a very conservative division director who would have fired me for being a single mom. And so I would definitely say, live your life the way it works for you, and don't worry about anyone else.
That's beautiful. I always ask that because there's someone out there that would really, really help. So thank you for saying that. So I guess we're wrapping up, and I always ask if so for anybody that wants to connect with you, work with you, look you up, how can they do that?
Sure. So the easiest way is on my website because it has links to everything. So it's pathonward.com. But I'm also on Facebook as Path Onward. I'm on Instagram as Childless Path Onward. But the easiest way is go to pathonward.com. All the links are there. You can, you'll be able to reach out to me, email me. So yeah.
So you guys definitely look her up. And then on the flip side, if you're looking for a quality primary care physician, we are accepting new patients and we can help you at Apple Valley Family Medicine. You can either call us at 304-350-1087 or look us up on our website at www.applevalleyfamilymed.com. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. And thank you, Dr. Miller, for being here. This was amazing.
Yeah,
Thank you.